we got it. Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Huh?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah. This is the problem with like doing it online for me because like it's Zoom, right? So I can't like have like my own podcast like room or stuff cuz I
Right, yeah.
yeah, cuz like my parents are like cautious and stuff. So I can't like invite you to my house.
It's good. But as long as it works, being
Yeah.
resourceful.
Yeah. All right. Well, welcome to Stay Sane, where we talk about mind-riveting topics while pushing around our own perspectives. And today we have our guest, Madam Towse.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me into Nutri. I'm super excited. I've been hearing about your Stay Sane podcast and your Instagram and just all the great things you've been doing to promote this. And I can't even tell you how honored I was when you asked if I would be on it as one of the teachers that you like their class. So thank you so much for having me.
Of course, anytime. And on the Microsoft Teams meeting a lot, I've been hearing a lot about your dog.
Yeah, actually, she's being a good girl right now. I'll give you a little sneak peek. Oop, there she is.
Oh, oh, that is cute.
Nothing's sitting there. Her
That
name
is
is
cute.
Finna, short for Dauphiné, which is the name of the street where I lived in France. But it also works as the American English slang finna, as in she finna bite your face off, or she finna steal your heart. Because with this girl, it's one or the other. There is no in between.
I mean, I can vouch for that because my dog, she's a golden retriever, and I mean, she can be crazy, or she can bite your head off, or she'll like snuggle up to you. So
Yeah,
yeah, but
yeah.
the only problem with golden retrievers is that they shed. They shed so much, and that's why because like she's a puppy, and I've always wanted to like take my dog up to my room, sleep together, and like cuddle up in my bed. But I can't do that with her because she sheds.
No, for sure. It's all worth it, though. I'm sure. She sounds so cute. I see her sometimes during class in the background, so I always get super excited. So no, luckily I don't have too much of an issue with Finna with the shedding, but in the end, I'm sure any amount of shedding is worth it.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, the other day I was just because we moved, like, she had her own, like, blue little couch. And the other day we moved it onto our deck. And then our, like, view in the background is, like, a bunch of trees. And I don't know, I just got really, like, annoyed that day. I just wasn't feeling it. And then my dog got up on the couch, laid down, and I just laid on top of her. And I literally just fell asleep. I just fell asleep.
That's actually so sweet. Oh
I
my goodness.
know. And not gonna lie, like that day, I had like the idea of like, I don't want to get married when I grow up. I don't want a family. I just want to have a bunch of animals, and I just want to live my life.
I'm already halfway there, dude. I'm doing exactly the same thing. I got this dog a week or two ago, and I don't really know where I'm feeling, but you just gotta live your life, and whatever happens, happens. Hashtag
Yeah,
laughter.
yeah. I mean, for a while, my goal, like my life goal, was to just like be a celebrity, be like famous, be an influencer. But like, it doesn't. Sometimes I just don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to get there. And
No,
that's what makes
yeah.
me doubt it, is like, is this something that I actually want to do? Is it worth it? Or should I just not have a job? Should I just live my life like I would have when I was a caveman?
Yeah, like off the grid.
Yeah, like off the grid, because I mean that's just like a really cool life to me. Like I don't have to. I mean, obviously, like in our time and day, we have to do stuff like for the government, like pay taxes and stuff. But like, I just want to go on a long road trip for the rest of my life. That's what I feel like sometimes. Like when I listen to music, like certain types of music, I'm not feeling like a human. I just want to be like a monkey. I just want to be a dog. And I've got that feeling over quarantine so many times because I'm just filled with a room of my parents and my brother, and we get into so many darn fights, so many. I cannot tell you. You live by yourself, right?
Yeah, now I do. But actually, before I moved to Richmond from New York, before I got the job at Moody, I was living with my parents and my brother and this stray cat that adopted us, not the other way around. One day he just walked into our house, didn't leave, and now he's one of us. So, but yeah, it can get kind of tight, especially because my brother's also an adult. So I totally know where you're getting at with that. I definitely needed my own space, especially from living by myself to moving back in with my parents. It definitely had its down moments, but in the end, like, end up being okay. So I totally understand where you're coming from with that, and just kind of wanting to live your life without responsibility. And there's definitely benefits to that. But also knowing you a little bit and knowing how social you are, I think you'd have 20 minutes of that and be like, okay, I'm done. I
Yeah.
I need society.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like, cause I've tried this a lot recently. Cause I'm like a really talkative person. Like, I mean, if somebody's not talking to me, I'll get kind of pissed off. I'll be like, "Why aren't you talking to me? I'm talking to you. Why aren't you responding?" But recently, I've kind of learned the idea of like silence. Like,
Yeah, that's actually super interesting.
mhm.
Do you with Wellness Wednesday? I know that I think last Wellness Wednesday or the Wednesday before. And for those of you listening, Wellness Wednesday is a day during the middle of the week where Henrico County in Virginia just has the opportunity for students to take care of their mental and their physical well-being and catch up with their teachers, touch base just to make sure that they're where they need to be academically, but also with their wellness. And so I think on one of them, actually, it lined up with National International Unplug Day or something like that, where everyone's supposed to like not send text messages and just have silence. And so it's really funny that you mentioned that because I try to partake in that. And it's actually like kind of a challenge. I've become so connected with technology, especially during quarantine, just because that's the only way that we can connect with people. And so just the responsibility of always being by your phone, ready to answer any emails or messages that either have to do with work or personally. Like I definitely, it's become attached to my hip a little bit. It's become kind of part of who I am. So it's so interesting that you talk about silence and the value that that plays, especially in today when we're all still in quarantine.
Yeah, because I mean, technically, we are in silence a little bit, just because we're not. I mean, at the beginning of quarantine, obviously, because I mean now everybody's doing everything, but like you kind of like you had maybe four people in a room, who whatever your family was, like four people and a dog or something, and I could not. I lasted maybe 3 months before I was pretty much done with my family, because the people that you love when you're in quarantine, it's it really puts you to the test, because now you're with them 24/7, and
Yeah.
you're always talking and you're always doing something. You're bound to get like done with something of it, like I was pretty much done with talking with my family for a while, because it was just, I mean, it was just, I could not take it anymore, because like every talk we had, we talked for so long that it ended in controversy, which ended in a fight, which ended to everybody going to their own rooms. So
Oh, yeah, definitely.
yeah, and sometimes I just want to like take away from it, and that's why we got a dog, because it was literally for our mental stability as
That's
a
actually the reason
family.
I got a dog too. My doctor was actually, so I don't think I've really talked about this with your class, but ever since I was young, I've always struggled with anxiety. I actually have some funny stories. I'll share them really briefly, and you can choose to edit this out or not, just because I don't know if it kind of corresponds to your podcast. But so I wasn't diagnosed with severe anxiety until 2 years ago, actually. I just thought it was normal for people to feel this way. So it started, the first telltale signs, let's start there, was when I was 3 years old and my brother was born. And normally, like, I loved him, I loved playing, whatever it was, but just because my parents told me this, I didn't know this. But and also looking back at pictures, I can understand why. But so anyway, I pulled all the hair out of the left side of my head. I would just twist it until it was all gone. I was literally bald on this side of my head. So like the whole Britney Spears 2008, she shaved her head because she was stressed. That happened to me as a child, but like I did it to myself. But then my parents just like, oh, she's young. It's just like one of her quirks or whatever. But then it kind of evolved a little bit. So I used to get really paranoid about grades. Always be correcting, and it got to the point where in high school I was only getting anywhere from 3 to 5 hours of sleep a night. I would wake up at 4:30 or 5 in the morning to finish whatever homework or project I hadn't finished. My classes started at 7:45 in the morning. They went till 3 in the afternoon, except during lunch. However, I opted to skip my lunch so that I could take an additional class. I love foreign language, and it was impossible to take two. So I got special permission to not have a lunch block and replace it with a Spanish class. And then I had practice from 3 to 5. And I was kind of I tried to compete very high with my athletics. So with my teams, I went to many championships. I ended up going to D1 track when I was in college. So I really did try to prepare a lot for sports. But then when I got home, I also would skip dinner because I didn't have time. And I would do homework until 12 at night or 1 in the morning. And then I'd start the whole thing over again. And what happened was I actually got insanely sick. And it made it so I ended up missing 2 entire months of school straight. And then after that, I went to school for only half days for almost the remainder of the school year. and it ruined my sports career actually. And so I actually had to learn everything that you just talked about, the whole silence, isolation, rebuilding, realizing that I have value outside of my grades or my athletics. Outside of school, I didn't know that I even had a personality. Everything I was just school. So the anxiety kind of went with that I had to be perfect all the time. And on top of that, when I got to college, I noticed it especially. I went to the dentist for the first time in a few years because I had this for my health insurance, and I had 6 cavities. And I had never had a cavity in my life. And they're like, I'm like, how could this possibly happen? I brush my teeth every day. And they're like, that's the problem. You're brushing your teeth too much. You brushed all the enamel off your teeth. And what happened was every time I left the house, I would brush my teeth because I just needed it to feel ready to go on for whatever it was. So in high school, that's not a big deal. You brush your teeth in the morning, and then at night before bed, you really only leave the house once or twice. In college, however, I would go back to my dorm room, and then maybe I'd have a class a couple hours later. So I'd have 4 classes in a day. So that ended up, I ended up brushing my teeth anywhere from 8 to 12 times a day because I also had extracurricular activities, things like that. I was able to recover in pursuing my track team, so that became an issue. So I had all of these things that were telling me something's not quite right. And eventually I was diagnosed with anxiety. So I take medication for it. And eventually my doctor's like, you really could benefit from having a dog. Like, it sounds silly, but people are talking continually about emotional support animals. And of course, all up until there, I'm like, mental health isn't real. Like, I don't need an emotional support animal. But once I started being diagnosed, I'm like, oh, this is actually a real thing. People aren't feeling this way. Like, actually, it's not unique to me. Many people do experience it. But once I started realizing, like, actually there's a way for it to be corrected and where I don't have to feel like that all the time, I took their advice. I started taking the medication. I have this dog now as of 2 weeks, and it's made all the difference, just making sure I get outside and getting the vitamin D and just being able to enjoy my life outside of my career. And so it's really funny that you say that you guys got a dog for that, because I got a dog for the exact same reason. That was a super tangent. But anyway, there you go. That's my story.
Wait, did it hurt when you pulled the hair out of your head?
I was so anxious I didn't notice. So my muscles are always tight just because I'm ready to go. So I know it seems like in class I might have a lot of energy. I do have a lot of energy. But it's always because I'm like, okay, we gotta go. It kind of drives from that anxiety a little bit. So luckily I'm your teacher. I'm not on the student end, so I don't have to worry about grades or anything. That's why #lavender is a huge idea in our class, because I don't want you guys to feel like grades are the only that they don't define you, and it's not the only part of your life. So yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. Well, that's really cool. I mean,
Sorry, I think you muted a little bit there. Could you repeat what you just said?
oh yeah, of course. I mean that's really cool that you went through that experience and you came out just as strong. Cause
Yeah. And it wasn't me alone though, too. Of course, I had all these people helping me, who were supporting me, and I think that makes all the difference too.
yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't imagine. Well, like I brush my teeth like I don't even remember to brush my teeth at night. Like, wow, that's amazing to me. Like one of my the thing with me is like we got a dog just for like mental stability and like just having a good time, and it definitely took our like attention off of each other and more on, like taking care of the dog, because she was a handful. Like I'm telling you that, but like so yeah, I mean that was crazy. But like the fact that mental health is a factor in our lives right now says a lot, because we've went through so much as a society, as a community. Because I mean, a few years back we were in 19 well, 19 in like the 1900s. We were doing such different things, like
Yeah, that was late 1900s, 1997. That introduced a bomb to this world.
yeah,
A little red-headed bomb. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so that's just crazy to me. And if you like take a step back, like honestly, if you take a step back from where we are right now, you will think that mental health, for a while I didn't even believe in mental health. Like I didn't believe in mental health until I was like genuinely like upset in quarantine. I did not believe in mental health whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. And like and when you're feeling good and you're feeling like normal, so to speak, and you feel like yourself, you really don't recognize it. It's only when you go through that experience.
Mhm.
So like it's unfortunate that a lot of people had to like feel those lows because it's not good for anyone to feel that. But it's also interesting that quarantine kind of brought that about. And so many people and so many other people have been a lot more supportive since then. Like the fact that an entire school district in Henrico County is dedicating a whole day every week for people to make sure that they're feeling good about themselves. Like I think that says so much about how, like you said, from the 1900s to now, how much mental health and mental wellness has evolved in the eyes of the community and how people value it. I think honestly, like you're so right. I'm blown away that like that has been able to be implemented and practiced the way it has been at this school.
Yeah, I mean, even I'm like our presidents have even said this, but um I mean, one of them opened up, they made sure to open up like Food Lion and like different restaurants for people to get back out there. Because
Yeah.
if you're cooped up for 7 months, that can really destroy a person, but it can also really evolve a person. Like,
Yes.
yeah, for me, like I worked on myself a lot because I was that girl that was really happy. I was like a bunch of like celebrities that just pretend to have a really strong face on the outside and be like a really
Yeah.
comedic actor and stuff, but they're like dying inside.
No,
Kind of.
absolutely.
Yeah, because like all the pressure, everything. That was me. That was me. Because I was really happy. I was really happy, but like there's always like a little bit of pressure that can get to you, and depending on the type of person you are, I was like a let it go, like let it go. But I was like a just wipe it off me, keep going. But sometimes like stuff people say, like maybe like comparisons. Like I was a really comparative kid as a child because I really wanted to just be the best person I wanted to be. But coming from like my brother versus me, there's a lot of different standpoints from that. Like my brother's a boy, I'm a girl. Like he might be really good at sports, I might be just as good at sports, or I might be worse at sports. So there's a lot of like aspects in that case. And that's when coronavirus, that's when I really decided that I didn't either I really wanted to be a celebrity or I really wanted to be just like I didn't want a family, I didn't want anything, I just wanted dogs. Because humans, I dislike them very much so. And I mean, have you had any experiences like that where you're just sick and tired of it?
No, absolutely. In fact, you know this. Last year, when my anxiety was probably at a peak, I made a decision to move to France and live there. I was actually supposed to be there up until the end of this year. Oh, good, my dogs are being a part of the book. But because of the pandemic, I moved home. But basically, got to the point where, just like you said, either I wanted to be the best of the best, or I wanted to be completely withdrawn. Like it was just kind of funny because those are two polar opposites to be known and interacting with everyone all the time
Wait,
as
check this
opposed to be
out.
like off the
Is that
grid.
is that
Was that?
bipolar disorder? Is that a bipolar disorder?
I'm not sure exactly. I know there, like, just like with everything, there's kind of a spectrum. I think it's a little bit different than bipolar, but I think it definitely has to do with mental wellness and kind of just where you're at the moment, a bunch of environmental factors. But anyway, so I knew it was either going to be the best decision of my life or the absolute worst decision of my life. It was either going to shut me down because I couldn't really speak the language all too well, or I couldn't find a part. It was the first apartment I ever rented. Just like all the things that you do as first my first career, my first whatever as adulthood, I did in a foreign country. 6 hours time difference between my parents, a 9 hour flight between where I lived and the city I moved to. So I'm like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be great. This is either gonna put me in such a situation where it's like a do or die, and either I'm gonna do or I'm gonna die, and I'm gonna have to come back home a month later because I couldn't make it work. And luckily, it ended up being the best decision, not the worst mistake of my life. And like you said, over that time of period, it's not just with quarantine; it's with any big or small life decision where maybe there are some lows, but you evolve because of it. And I think with this too, it was the most personal exploration that I've ever experienced because it was the first time that I was not a student, so I didn't have grades to define. Who I was or my value, which I always had way too much. And I didn't even realize I had interests. I got to France and like, well, what do I do with myself now? Like I don't have school. All I have is work. And so I started traveling. And so it came to the point where I literally traveled every single weekend because France is really great supporting their young people. So there's this program called TGV Max. and basically you have like an $80 fee or something, which is basically essentially the price of one ticket to somewhere. But anyway, if you're under the age of 26, it's unlimited train rides for $80, which is insane. So I traveled my longest streak was 10 consecutive weekends, but unfortunately COVID ended my 10 weekends, my streak. I also realized that I love sports. I had to give it up because I was sick. And so I had to relearn that, yeah, you can love something and not be the best of the best at it, even though I still don't have the athletic abilities that I used to have because of the illness that I experienced in high school. I can still do it. I don't have to be the best. I can do it just for pleasure. So I got to re-explore and rediscover all the things that I loved, but I didn't know that I loved them because I was so preoccupied with what people told me I liked. People told me you should be going to college. You should be going on to get your doctorate. I'm not getting my doctorate right now. Right now I'm applying to a master's just because I would like to continue teaching. I actually really do love teaching middle school French, and you need certifications for that, which I'm going to go get. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that until I had the opportunity to kind of separate myself, maybe not from society as a whole, but from the life I was living. So it's really, really interesting that you bring that up, just because there is so much personal development and the evolving when you have things like quarantine or moving to a new country or things of that nature, and being able to self-discover and separating yourself either from being completely tied, in your case as a celebrity, to everyone and everything, and being completely separated by time differences, by language barriers, by all these different things. So I totally get where you're coming from. Getting a dog, exploring the world, kind of separating yourself. I've been there. I've done it. I loved it. I might do it again. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's the other big thing too. Just that there is nothing wrong with that. You don't have to go to college. I know a ton of people who are very successful and very happy people who did not go to college and just made a name for themselves, like living by their passion. And I think that's something that so many people, they're afraid to take that risk. So when I see you as a middle schooler, you're 12, right?
Yeah, I'm 12.
Yeah, as a 12-year-old being like, well, I don't know if I want to be a celebrity and I don't know if I want to explore the world with my dog. So I guess I'll just try both right now. You both adopted a dog and you started a podcast and an Instagram for that podcast so that you can live it and experience it and decide, which path do I want to take? And maybe it doesn't end up being either one. Maybe you learn that both of them aren't quite the right fit. So you know to narrow it down to something else. And to me, like the fact that you figured this out as a 12-year-old, whereas me, I had to figure it out as a 22-year-old, that's absolutely awesome. And I'm super impressed with your progress and your understanding that now's the time to do it. Let's figure it out. I know where I want to be. And if I decide later I don't want to be there, I'll just change my path. Like, I love that mentality. And I love that you figured out at such a young age.
I mean, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I know what you mean when you say like taking a risk and like moving to France away from your family, that taking a risk, and if you did it and you did it well, that made you feel so much better inside than like doing something that was.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with me, is because I just want to take a risk, and if I do good at it, good job. It feels good. But if I don't do good at it, let me try something else. Let me try something else. Let me
Exactly.
take a bigger risk now. So it's just all about risks for me, because it's not fun. Life isn't fun otherwise. I mean, I want to go to a 9 to 5 job, and like teaching is so fun to me. I mean, like putting little kids onto something that I learned is, I mean, interesting, because I spent this much time learning it and I can spill it to you in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's why having like an older sibling or like just another figure helps a lot, because they'll find a path for you and they transport it down to your level.
No, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
You're so right. There's definitely a level of confidence that comes from being able to reteach and re-explain something that you learned, especially if you had difficulty with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And during quarantine, I watched a lot of movies, and I told you this, but I watched a movie called Six Underground, and it's
Yes.
a really cool movie. I mean, some people like it, some people don't. Like, we watched it as a family, and half of my family didn't like it. Me and my brother were the only ones who liked it, and that makes sense because it's like a cool movie. It's not like a cool. It's like a Ryan Reynolds movie, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got
like
you.
Deadpool. Yeah. So it was called Six Underground, and it's basically how six people fake their deaths to the government, and they did whatever they wanted. Like they went on a yacht, and they didn't. They They went to their own funeral. They did a bunch of like
Oh
things.
man, that's crazy.
Yeah, they did.
Now that's a risk right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to take that risk, but yeah, that's a risk if I ever heard one.
Yeah, but I mean, it's illegal to fake your own death, but like that's just a cool idea. Like you don't need to fake your death to go to that extent, but just like do whatever you want. Like that's what I learned from that. It's just like because if you think about it, going underground, going off the grid, just like taking your car, because I mean, we've adopted like the ideas of like being in a society and like you can't just like one day you want just go out in the nature and get eaten by a raccoon, but
Right.
so I mean you got to take a step, but like I like go on a car trip or like take a private jet like when I'm older and I'm a celebrity, maybe I do it then, maybe I take a risk then and I go on like a private jet where I have a bunch of like security guards just in case a raccoon
No, right, yeah.
but yeah, so that's just a really cool idea and that's why I want animals. I mean monkeys, those are so cool and I don't want to lose that side of like I don't want to lose that to evolution.
I get that, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there were like, I mean, I saw this thing, but it was like a bunch of cavemen in the old times, and they could like hold their breath for a long, long time underwater. And I'm pretty sure we used to be able to do that, but we've lost it because like, why do we need it anymore? But I mean, I want to bring that back, at least for me, because I mean, I'm all about natural, because like it's just fun, you know? It's
Oh,
just fun.
absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
Different. Yeah, just be different. So just like branch out and like have you ever done anything like where it was like secretive, like nobody else knows?
So kind of, I guess this kind of goes back to my France situation. So my mother, I don't want to say I got my anxiety from her, but I got my anxiety from her. Cough, cough, wink, wink. So the fact that I moved to France, so actually in our advisory class for the 8th graders, we worked on talking about values. And one of the questions is super relevant. So this is a Wellness Wednesday topic. And the entire class will talk about a specific like part of wellness. So last unit was stress management and anxiety management. This unit for the 8th graders is talking about values and discovering your own values and as well as community values. And one of the questions was on a scale of like 1 to 5, 5 being is the most important thing to you, and 1 being, well, like, yeah, it's important, but I don't really give too much thought to it. How much do you care about making your parents proud? And so I guess that kind of goes with what I was about to say, that my mom was so anxious, but at the same time, she did end up, I don't want to say she let me go to France. I'm an adult. I can kind of do what I want, but of course I want to respect her and I don't want to do something that's going to make her that uncomfortable. But because she understood that I needed to take this risk for my well-being, even though it was very, very difficult for her, especially with the time difference, me being 6 hours into my day when she's just waking up was not an easy adjustment for her. But she was proud of me just because even though it's not a decision she would make, she knew that I needed to make it. Whereas my grandmother, every single time I called, she loved hearing about the adventures, but more was like, so when are you coming home? You're not going to stay there forever. It's going to break your mom's heart. What if you fall in love with someone over there, a French guy or whatever? Are you going to stay there? So like for her, like the anxiety overrode what I needed for myself. So the whole idea of me making her proud, maybe she's proud that I went there, but in the end, she'd be most proud if I got the 9-to-5 job, had something comfortable and stable in the States. So so back to your original question, going underground is more underground just to my family. So my mom, because of this anxiety and the whole making her proud or whatever, those 10 consecutive weekends, I never told her where I was going until I already got there, because I found that when I told her in advance, she legitimately would not sleep until I arrived at my destination. So the whole idea where it's like, oh, text me when you get to your friend's house, or give me a call when you're home or whatever, that was like to a whole new level when you're in a new country, because she has no idea how to pronounce any of the cities that I'm talking about. She would Google them to see their crime rates, all of these different things, because she was so anxious. And I would get these texts at like 4 in the morning or 3:30 in the morning, being like, hey, did you make it there? I'm like, dude, no, I'm on an airplane. I can't respond to you. And I wouldn't get it until all the messages came flooding in. So on the whole idea of being underground, I don't know if I was really underground, but to my parents' knowledge, I was, just because I wouldn't tell them, oh, by the way, I'm in a foreign country, I'm in Switzerland, or oh, by the way, I went to Scotland this weekend, or oh, by the way, I'm in Ireland. It's only a little bit It's not that far away from Scotland. So like just the idea that like I had to live my life, and I would let them in the loop later, but they definitely didn't know about it at the time until either I had returned home from the trip or until I had arrived at the destination, just because they'd worry so much.
Yeah, I mean,
How about you? Tell me. Tell me
yeah.
about your underground experiences, Anushree.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've had not like I've had technically a few just like secrets, just like secrets that I maybe like don't tell
Feel
my
it.
parents. Just like maybe something that I don't tell my parents or like only my friends know or something. But it was like cuz in 5th grade I was like all about like I'm just not cuz like my parents don't want me to date until I'm like 9th or 10th grade or like high school. And I didn't have anything in mind. Like I don't want to date anybody yet cuz
Right,
like
yeah.
I'm not in that mood right now, right? Like I just want to work on myself. But
Yeah.
I did a bunch of stuff where I was like um my crush knew that I liked him, but like I wouldn't go tell him that I liked him. Like I just like in school and stuff. I remember it was like the highlight of my like week because he would go down the hallway and I would make sure because I would see him one time and I'd be like, oh, okay, so he goes down this hallway, and me and my friends would all go down, and then every once in a while my friend would like tease him and be like, oh, are you Anushi's crush? And like it'd be fun, but at the same time it'd be so scary. So my
No, I
parents didn't
totally
know
get
about
that.
that. Yeah, no, my parents didn't know about that, but that wasn't too bad. I guess this podcast was another one because so
Really?
on your mom's terms because it was. I mean, in society, it's a lot sometimes. Like you get canceled one day and then like you're right back up there the next day. So it's
Right,
really
yeah.
it's really controversial to me, and I'm a really simple person. Like I'm like straightforward. I'll tell you if I don't like you. You'll know if I don't like you. So, you'll know. I'm not gonna be mean to you. Like I know that you can't avoid somebody, especially in like school and stuff. Like say I don't like somebody, you'll know I don't like you because I'm not gonna be all like buddy buddy to you. I'm not gonna be like, oh yep, can I have the homework? Do you know what the homework is today? I'm not gonna
Right,
do
yeah.
that. Yeah, if you ask me, then I'll answer back, but I'm not gonna answer back in like a, oh yeah, sure, of course, yeah, no problem. I'll be like, here, this is the homework, because like you've done something to pull the trigger on me.
No, I totally get that. And I honestly, I appreciate that you're genuine. I would say for myself personally, like I said, you're figuring out all the things at 12 years old that I figured out at 22. And I definitely was one of the kind to kind of roll over and die. And I didn't want to make anyone uncomfortable. I always wanted to keep the peace. So even if someone maybe didn't show as much respect as they could have towards me or did something that I don't agree with, I would always try to be overly kind. You know, the whole idea, kill them with kindness, until I realized probably what you are explaining right now, that even if someone is going through something or has a background that they're still figuring out and they're trying to get out of, it doesn't give them the excuse to treat other people poorly. And that took me a long time to realize because I just gave people chance after chance after chance, and I get hurt time after time after time until I realized exactly what you've realized. So that's amazing that, again, at 12, you figured out that you can still respect people and interact with people and still not have to make yourself vulnerable and put yourself out there and do the whole kill them with kindness thing. You can just kind of coexist in a respectful way, which is,
Yeah, of course.
again,
Yeah.
amazing.
And there's like I said this before, but like silence. And another thing is like you can do silent treatment, but like if I don't like somebody, I can just like
Mm-hmm.
ignore them. But at the same time, that's putting a little bit more stress on myself. Like I don't want that on my part. Like I don't want to just like completely ignore you because that's making me think because I'm not a bad person. I'm not like trying to ignore you because
No,
I don't
I totally
like
understand.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So in my conscience I'll be like, oh, was I too mean? Like she asked me if she could have my homework today. Oh no, like what is she gonna do now? Does she have any other people she can talk to? So I'm gonna help you out. Like you can't avoid somebody totally, but the silent treatment works. Like I've had a few people do like my brother has done the silent treatment on me because like I've done something that he's unlike, and he just totally ignores me. But at the same time, I can tell that's like slowly killing him. So yeah,
Yeah, you don't want to do something that hurts you on the other end too. It's not like you're trying to get at like get back at someone or do something in return. You're just like trying to figure things out. I know. I think that's totally reasonable.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. But at the same time, sometimes people can just drive me to an edge where the thought of me going underground, like me like just totally disengaging from society, totally just going nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe
Like
going.
go back to your roots. Yeah, I love that. Wait,
Yeah.
so tell me, hear me out. You
Mhm.
mentioned a little bit. So you're a celebrity and you decide, right?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I'm done with this. I need to do again the polar opposite, and I want to go underground. And you mentioned the private jet where you're going to just explore. You have a dog. Tell me, what's the rest of this underground plan? What are you going to do, Anushree? You hit your limit. You've maxed out. You're as popular as can be international. You're on top of all the podcasts for Stay Sane. It's translated in French and Italian and German and all the rest of the languages. And you're like, nope, I've had enough. What's your game plan? What are you doing?
Okay. So, I mean, at that point, so first off, I don't think because I do want to be like the most popular person in the world. Like, I want everybody to know my name, but not to a point where it's like everybody's looking at me.
Okay.
I just want my name to be up there, like Logan Paul or like Jake Paul. Like they're known, they're well known. So
Yeah.
at that point, if I do disengage, it'll be like a problem, like it'll be like, oh my God, where is she? What is she doing now? But it won't be like, whoa, oh my God, no, she totally left us. No, that's not happening. We can't, she's not my idol anymore. No. So it's not to that point. But then I would literally, when I have in mind is I would literally take my close group of friends, because even right now I'm a talkative person, but like I'm not. I have a small circle. I have a small circle, and even now I have like 1 to 2 friends in my circle right now that I know I will want to keep when I'm older. But as of now, I'm still building. Like I don't have a lot right now, but I don't think that's a bad idea, because if you have a big
That sounds
circle.
super fun, actually. Like that's a dream right there.
Yeah, so I would take my really close group of friends and just go on a long road trip, like go skiing, go literally do whatever I want. Because obviously, again, we've adopted certain features in our body that doesn't allow us to do everything. So we do have to rely on like man-made stuff, like skiing or like I
Right.
just
Yeah.
do, like sports, perfect sports.
Do you have any like a particular destination in mind, dream destination that you and your besties are gonna go hit up?
I mean,
Or
not.
or is it kind of spur of the moment? You're like, oh, I'm here. Oh, that was fun. Let's go. Get in the
Yeah,
car, girls. We're on our way. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
I mean, I've never thought of it that way, but like I don't want to just stick in one place. No, I want to literally be everywhere. And that's why, cuz I do want to be a celebrity for certain reasons, like I just
Yeah.
want to make an influence on people's lives like they're making on my lives. But at the
Yeah.
same time, if you're a celebrity like TikTok stars right now, how many resources are they getting? They're getting like $500 million almost every year or so. I think, right? I don't.
Same. Yeah.
That might be wrong, but like they're getting a lot of money
I
every
guess at that point, you're going to have to change your podcast name from Stay Sane to Stay Insane because that's absolutely crazy.
year. Yeah, so that's definitely a dream because you can do so much. I mean, I hate to say it, but money is like almost the foundation of society.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes, and very unfortunately, but that is the foundation because it certain aspects rely on that. Like even colleges will give you offers if they know that you can pay the tuition. They might not
Yeah.
give you
Yep.
scholarships.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's yeah, so that's why I want to be like up there. Like I want to do something that I can like I'm not wasting my time, but it's fun for me. And going underground, going like secretive, that's like fun for me. It's fun.
It
So I
is. It's exhilarating. You get to live
yeah,
your life. You get free spirit, and I definitely get the free spirit vibe from you. So I can totally see how that would
and that's
coordinate
how,
with
yeah.
your plans.
Yeah, and that's how I felt when I was like going behind like my parents, not my parents' back, but like you know what I mean, like with my crush and stuff.
Yeah,
It's so much fun to like somebody than date somebody. It's so much fun to like crush on somebody, especially when you have like a group of friends behind your back like teasing you and stuff.
well,
It's so much more
absolutely, yeah.
fun. Yeah, and it doesn't matter if they actually. It makes more of a difference if they like you back, because then it's like it's worth it. But like, I'm not gonna date somebody anytime soon, so it's just fun because I want to do something like I said this before, but like 9 to 5, that's not for me. Like I'm doing
Yeah.
something that I'm gonna take a risk with, and I guess the risk there would be either he like doesn't like me or does like me, but that's a really small risk. But like
Yeah, no,
now
absolutely.
it's like no, and now it's like I'm taking a risk whether I'm surviving in nature or not. Whether
Yeah, a
yeah,
little bit bigger, but yeah.
and when I'm like playing sports, it's whether I'm surviving that really fast pitch right there or not, or whether I'm
Yeah.
gonna score a home run or not. You know?
No,
So
absolutely. And
yeah,
it's also too that you recognize that, like you recognize, like, hey, I might be interested in this person, but you are obviously a very independent and strong girl, and I'm sure that will carry it with you for the rest of your life. And so, no, I don't want to say the word tied down because no one's ever necessarily tied down if they're in a loving relationship or whatever it happens to be. But you want to have someone who will share those adventures with you. Like they have to be able to keep up. Either you keep up or you get left behind. You know, I'm the same way. And not everyone is that way. Like some people do love the comfort of just having that 9 to 5, but I think the two of us have very similar personalities. So I guess if I'm giving crush advice, it sounds like I'm kind of there right now. That for me, when I have a crush, of course, I want to get to know them. I almost always start friends first. Just because I want to make sure that, like, you know, you can be friends first. You have a lot more in common than just like the exhilaration of the crush. And so, just making sure that I don't want to say that they have quality to your life, but you can live your life independently without them. It's just that they make your life better,
yeah,
and not like a way like you can't live without them, but just like, oh, I enjoy the things that I already enjoy doing. I enjoy doing them also with you, or even more with you. So I totally get where you're coming from, where you want to live your independent life, and it's kind of like, okay, if you can keep up, you can stay. Otherwise, I'm going to keep doing my thing. And so I love that you can be an individual first, and the relationship second.
and the risk taker part of me, I feel like that's something I recently adopted because I just stopped caring. Like I genuinely stopped caring. Like I'll do what I think is best for me. Like even when my parents say certain stuff and I disagree with it, I'll try to have a conversation with them. I'll prove my point, they prove their point. If their point overrides my point, then I'll listen. But also it's to the point where like I don't want to clean the dishwasher, you have to clean the dishwasher. It's like
Yeah,
yeah,
you're not
yeah,
gonna win
I'll
that
do that.
argument. But yeah, I get it.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, obviously there's a limit there, but like I always put my opinion out there. Like even this podcast, I'm putting my opinion out there because
Right, yeah. I'm gonna pause 1 second just because my dog's going insane.
of course, yeah, no problem.
So we're done. Okay.
Oh, that is too cute. That is too cute. Oh my god, is she a pit bull?
Yeah, she is American Pit Bull Terrier.
Oh my god. Oh my
Richmond
god.
Animal Care Control. Big shout out for picking a perfect dog for me.
Oh my god. And okay, I really regret this, but my dog we got from like a breeder,
Yeah.
and I really regret that because if you like see like adoption centers and stuff, we could have got a dog and saved a dog from there.
I
And
get that.
yeah, but I love my dog so much right now. But at the same time, like I wouldn't want to have that love with somebody that like has gone through a lot.
Yeah, no, I get that. But
Yeah,
I also think that getting a shelter dog, like, it's a great thing to do, but also in a way, like, you're still saving that puppy. Like, it was born no matter what. So someone needed to love that dog no matter what. So I don't think you have to feel bad about that part. But definitely, hi, buddy. So with dogs from the shelter, because they have gone through stuff, you have to make sure that you have like the environment that can help them to recover and to kind of heal a little bit. Because if you're not in a place emotionally or even professionally where you can spend time with the dog, like, it's helpful for me because normally my school day I can be back by 4:30. Once I start coaching soccer, I'll be a little bit later, but I still have the whole evening to spend with the dog, plus the wellness Wednesday and the weekends. So if I didn't have that time, it wouldn't really be possible to have a dog that went through that stuff, just because you always do have to be there. So it really just depends on where you are, like your family life and professional life, and what your life looks like. But like I said, you don't ever have to feel bad about getting a dog that was bred, because like I said, it's not like they bred that dog for you. In some cases, sure. But like for you guys, you're like, okay, yeah, there's a golden retriever puppy. Like, that's great. Someone had to love that puppy. It was born, and you sound like a perfect family for it.
yeah. I mean, also, okay, this is really crazy, but wolves are so cool to me. Wolves. There's this
I
like,
agree with that.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, keep going.
like a black wolf,
Tell me
like a
all
white
about wolves.
wolf. Yeah, because our first choice for a dog was a husky, a white husky with blue eyes, and his name was Everest, and we were literally about to book him, but the family was really picky, and I
Mhm.
don't know if they were racist or not or something, but they were just like, since it's your first puppy and like we want to give it to a good home, I don't think you guys are fit for it. And I was like, and we're like, oh no, you were literally the perfect dog for us. No. But then we got a golden retriever because like huskies are like somewhat wolf-ish. They look like wolves. They're just
No, I totally, yeah, absolutely. They're gorgeous.
yeah, they are like animals, man. This is why I love animals. Wolves are why I love animals. And like, oh my, look at Defina right there.
She's actually being so good. Normally she's crying and stuff. She's sitting on the counter with her front paws on my leg. So she's happy. She's being held. She knows I'm not going to leave her behind. That's her big thing. I think she has some abandonment problems with that. So whenever I leave, my heart breaks. It's like the worst part of my day when I leave to go to work. I'm like, thank goodness I'm going to have students in like 20 minutes because otherwise I would be like so heartbroken hearing the dog cry in the background. It's
Yeah,
so tough.
yeah, I know. And I mean, dogs and cats and like zoo animals, they are why I love animals. That is why I love nature so much. Because wolves, like, I'm pretty sure there was like a fox in my, because we have like a really like foresty backyard. So
Yeah.
pretty close to the highway, but it's also pretty close to like wildlife almost.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure we saw a fox the other day. And we had snow like a while ago, but we saw little footprints, and that was not my dog's because my dog has big paws. So it was not my dog's, and it was too big for a human, like even a baby.
Right. Yeah.
So that was really cool.
It's
And
actually really, really cool.
yeah, and when I grow up, I want to have a pack, like a wolf, not like maybe a wolf pack, like a wolf dog pack. Like I want to own a pack. Maybe it's like a
You do
like
that.
a bunch of like
That
husky.
sounds really cool.
Yeah,
Also, you have like your best friend groups you're gonna travel the world with. That'll be your pack too. You'll have 2 packs.
yeah. I mean, just like animals and monkeys. Monkeys are so smart. Monkeys are so smart.
You keep bringing it. I think it's the first time you mentioned monkeys during this podcast. Yeah, I'm noticing a pattern here with you.
Yeah. I mean, they're so cool though. Like animals, we think they're like even ostriches. Ostriches. I mean, Kevin Hart said this in like a stand-up comedy piece or something, but he was going like 60 miles per hour, and this ostrich was running the same mile per hour, looking over at his head like that, and he was running straight, but his head was like that. So that's just cool to me because animals are so like interesting, and right now we are so distant from our relatives, our relatives, and I just want to like get back to that because I see so many like because I told you this before, but like I watch a lot of movies, a lot of documentaries, a lot of videos during quarantine, and that's just so cool to me because like go fishing, go underwater diving, and go get saved by a whale from a shark, and like
No, yeah, I've seen stories like that, and I'm always blown away. Yeah.
that it's so cool that they understand that, and it just shows that we're not. I mean, at least from my standpoint, we're not really appreciative of them. They're not. We're not really like. We're still like hurting them. Like we're animal. Humans are pretty like annoying.
Another reoccurring theme. You're sick of people. Got it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good humans out there, but there's also a lot of like humans that aren't, like I hate to say it, but like yeah, like factory owners that are hurting the environment, and I've been really like considerate of that recently. It all started when we had a bunch of trees near my house and they got cut down for another house, and I was so pissed off. I was so pissed off because I would like play basketball under the trees, and we put a basketball hoop there, and it was really fun, and it was like a really like vibe. And then they cut down all the trees, and now it's just all land. So I mean, yeah. Okay, well, I guess that's it for today's episode. Stay sane. Thank you for watching.
Thank you again, and I'll see you class tomorrow.
She steady dripping Sailor on, she got the perfect face. Thumbing through the deck of 52 and she the highest rank. She don't answer questions, she mysterious like the